Good afternoon, everyone. This is Pastor Devin Miller, the real pastor, the true pastor, bringing you another edition of Financial Matters. Why? Because financials matter. And in the time that we are living, we need to talk more about money than ever before, but also from a Christian perspective. And to that end, I am pleased to bring to the stage a gentleman that I met just recently that is into a lot of things financially, but also has a story to tell on how he manages and is a good steward over that which God has given him. And I vet my people before they come on. And so this man passed the mustard. And I want to tell you a little bit about him. His name is John Dunham. And he's a retired Army. Now, I never did Army, but we want to definitely thank him for his services because of what he did. I was able to do what I do. So, freedom of speech is a wonderful thing to be protected. And we do see it under attack, even under this administration, but that's under political matters. That's not under financial matters. Um, but he retired and began a new chapter in his life in 2005 after serving 20 years in the army and also being married to his wife for 41 years. So he's got some wisdom behind him, and we definitely want to tap into that on this series. So after retiring from the army and starting a new chapter in 2005, he was an instructor at Fort Bliss. And then he also went back and got his bachelor's and his MBA in 2004 and 2006, respectively. In 2009, he moved to Alabama and started working for the Missile Defense Agency until retiring just last year in 2024. He is currently, if I'm reading this correctly, in 2017, launched a real estate investment company. Then, as COVID affected all of us, he had to transform and reform and rebrand. And he started focusing on providing essential services to homeowners and business owners, to include solar, water filtration, security systems, and more. Um, while also dipping into the technology of Web3, crypto, cloud computing, and Wi Fi 7, all of which I've never heard of. So I'm glad he's going to be on here today. Um, so, and he's also dipping into Forex, the foreign exchange trading in arena, I guess you could say, which is again is catching fire, especially with our Gen Zs and Ys and whatever letter they want to put after their name. But it's something that we need to get into as well. So we got a lot to cover. You know how I do it. We're going to do it for the next 4 weeks. So this is just introduction, and I'm going to bring him to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Dunham.
Hey, Bishop, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, sir?
Listen, I'm doing wonderful. I'll cash app you in a minute about all that wonderful introduction because I was like, who's he talking about? Let me make sure I cash app the Bishop here. So,
Hey, I'll send you my cash app. But
thank you.
no, hey, what'd you say?
I just said thank you for allowing me to be with you. It was a pleasure to meet you a few weeks ago, and I
Yes,
was like,
sir.
wow, I'm in the right presence. I can tell you that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, let me thank you as well because what I try to do on this broadcast is give people information so that they can make the right decisions regarding their money. We get a lot of folks that watch on the rebroadcast because during the day everybody's working, so that's what I want you to do. But I do want to put that information out there so that you can go back to it at the appropriate time. And so I'm trying to set up my TikTok right now, so just give me a quick minute. But while I'm doing this, John, tell me, add some meat to the bones that I put out there about yourself, as far as who you are. Give it the color commentary.
Bishop, I think you did a great job of who I am, right? Well, I can tell you this. I did my military career for about 20 plus years, and I had a back injury, and so
Hmm.
I actually had to get out of that. I had to sign some statements to get out. 'Cause I had back surgery, and then in the military, if you can't be up front, you definitely, and if you're a leader, you cannot be in the back. So I
Right.
decided it's time for me to jump ship and go find something else to not find something else to do, but launch a different career. So I
Okay.
decided then at that time while I was in Fort Bliss, I was a member of a Destiny Family. At that time, it was called Christ Cathedral, but it was also Destiny Family Christian Center. Now, what it's called with Bishop Richard Johnson and his wife. So I was part of that ministry. Uh, uh, but I can tell you, uh, throughout the years, just by every day overcoming some challenges or overcoming the issues that because I know something is always going to happen, and but I've never seen a time where it didn't work out. I'll say that I've never seen a time where it didn't work out. No matter what I had to go through, it worked
Right.
out because I'm here. so,
Right.
so how it worked out wasn't my choice sometimes, but it worked out. So, like I said, I was born down in South Carolina. Went in the army when I was a young man. Retired after so many years, 20 plus years in the army. Then I joined, stayed out there in Fort Bliss doing some instructor type jobs, teaching radars and things like that, and a command and control system for the military. And at one point, my boys were growing up. I have two boys, not boys anymore, two adult children, right? Not boys
Right.
anymore, right? They used to be boys. Matter
Yes.
of fact, it shocked me the other day. I said, man, my son is almost 40.
Wow.
I said, what? Almost 40. I said, no, he's almost 40, a year away from 40. I'm like, oh, man. And so I've been blessed with that. I've been blessed. That's why
Right.
and so I lived there. Then I moved here to the missile defense. I moved here to Alabama in 2008 because of no particular reason other than wanting a change of environment, and because the
Mm.
environment was kind of toxic. Not El Paso itself, but the things surrounding it. The you know the well, coming across that border ain't all good things. So we decided just to move here to Alabama, and then one day somebody now I didn't apply for any jobs. I'm telling you, when I got here, I didn't apply for any job. But somebody
Hmm.
called me and said, "We got your resume," and I was wondering, well, who gave it to you? Because it wasn't me.
Right.
It wasn't me. And so one of the gentlemen that I knew, I guess if you do right by people, sooner or later people will do right by you. And
Right.
uh, and if you keep a good name, hey, you can get rewarded. So gentleman called me up and said, hey, would you like to come in for an interview? And told me what the job was. Analyst for the Missile Defense Agency doing some certain things. I'll keep that off the radar. But he said, yeah, you want to come in for an interview? I said yes. He said, well, wait a minute. I'll tell you what. I want you to go over and I want you to visit a guy in another building. And the only reason I went to visit the guy, I said, yeah, John, Mr. Coben sent me over here for an interview. He said, no, all he wanted to do was make sure your hair wasn't purple and you had a whole bunch of tattoos on your face. I didn't do any interview. I swear that's what he said. I'm like, what? He said, that's it. So I came in, he looked at me, he said, yeah, okay. Wrote down a salary and way more than what I thought I was supposed to have. And he says,
Uh-huh.
okay, let's go. I'm like, I went
Wow.
back and I showed my wife and I was like, hey, look what number they putting out here for me. I'm like, wow, this is good. So I guess doing the right things and trying to stay straight and stay above board and treating people right and believing that what's mine is mine and I'll get it in due time. And I
Right.
ended up here at in Alabama at the Missile Defense Agency doing stuff, and then of course time went on. Met a lot of good people all across the country, and then across the world doing a lot of deployments in places like Romania, Poland, and even
Mm.
deploying some things in the Guam. Uh, then after a while, I said, well, it's time to hang those up too because that airplane is friendly to some people, but I get tired of sleeping in other beds.
Right.
So let me bring it back home. And so I retired last year. Ended last year, I think December, late December last year. I hung my shoes up, and then I never want to sit still, Bishop. I never want
Right.
to sit still because there's always something that I think everybody can contribute, not only just monetary wise, but your person being out it inspires other people to not only be out but be good can rub your goodness can rub off on somebody else. So that's why I
Right.
keep doing what I do. My kids ask me, Dad, why? I say, because what else am I going to do? Stay here, stare at the TV? Nah,
Right.
I'm going to go out and make sure I meet people and see who else I can help. Because whatever I have, I know it's not for me alone. I know it's not. So
Sure.
yeah, that's a little bit about me, Bishop. That's a little bit
Yeah,
about
yeah. No, that's great. That's great. I think, we're living in a time now where it's not necessarily about money, it's really about who you are. And even the Bible says that your gifts will make room for you. And a lot of people are out trying to make room for their gifts, and that doesn't work because that's not biblical. So,
no.
what you've demonstrated just through your life is how to be a servant, and how to be, willing to do whatever's needed for people. And that's really what life is all about. So tell me a little bit about your investment side of you, and how you got into the solar thing, and the water filtration, and forex. Give me that background. How did you get there?
Well, Bishop, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, I can say this. I'll get to that. It's important. It's important in folks to know that there's a monetary side behind the things you do and the things you put in place. But let me say
Right.
this. I struggled for the longest time. When I retired from the army, folks still don't believe this today. When I retired from the army, I want to call it. I wasn't, although I had a check coming in from the government. It wasn't great because I had a wife and two kids. I was actually broke, believe it or not. People think folks that retire from the army have a lot of money or had a lot of money, but if you didn't live right, if you didn't manage it properly, then guess what? Then you don't have nothing. And I can raise my hand and be honest and say I was broke,
Mm.
and I'm not ashamed of it because I know somebody else is in that same predicament. But what I
Sure.
know is good. What he'll do for one, he'll do for others too. So, but at the time, I was just trying to figure out how to get along. And I'll tell this story. I hope I don't not take. If I do, just cut me off, Bishop, and
Yes, sir.
I'll
You
start over.
good? You good?
So, so when I retired from the army, like I said, I was at Destiny Family Christian Center. That's what it's called now. It used to be called Christ Cathedral. And so one day, one of the senior pastors, junior pastors, his name, I'm gonna say his name, Perry Kearney. He said, "Hey, coming out because I didn't have a job, right? I didn't have a
Mm.
job, so I didn't have no money, right? So he said, come and go with me, and we need to find gifts for the folks that are leaving, right? The brothers in the because we had the men's ministry, so we had to find gifts for the brothers that were leaving. So I went with Pastor Kearney to a Christian bookstore, and he said, let's find a few gifts to present on Saturday to these brothers. I said, okay. So he went one way, and I went the other way, right? And so I'm walking around the store. I'm looking at gifts. I'm like, nah, that's not good. Nah, that's not good. I got to find something. And so I went around the corner, and I got down on my knees. Now remember, I was broke. I was broke. I got down on my knees, and I was looking under the bottom shelf, and there was a sailboat, and on the sailboat had the scripture Jeremiah 29:11. God knows the plans He has for you to prosper you and give you hope. Right now, I was broke, and I saw this sailboat. I said, "Hey, you mean I had to get way down here to figure this out? I had to get down here to figure this out." That's all I said to myself. And so
Mm-hmm.
I got the boat, and I came back. I got with Pastor Kearney. I said, "Hey, okay, I got a gift." I gave it. He looked at it, and then we went back to the church and we wrapped it up. And so on Saturday we had our men's ministry. Perry calling the folks up to get their gifts. And I think it was three brothers that were leaving at the time, but it was like four gifts on the table, four or five
Mm-hmm.
gifts on the table. So he came up, he called the brothers up, he gave them all the gifts. But what I noticed that the sailboat wasn't given to nobody. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
man, what about that sailboat? I'm saying to myself, what happened to the sailboat? So I went to Pastor Kearney after. I said, hey man, what happened to the sailboat? Why didn't you give it to one of those brothers? He go, that sailboat wasn't for them. That sailboat was for you.
Wow.
And he gave me the sailboat.
Wow.
And man, talk about knock me for a loop. I just
Yeah.
re- I just recently figured out how to tell the story without getting emotional.
Sure. Sure.
Without getting emotional. And from that day, I started the journey. I started the journey of being disciplined especially with my money,
Mm.
right? Especially with
Okay.
my money, because there's a lot of wants, and sometimes our wants override our need.
Come on.
I'll say it again. Sometimes people's wants override their needs, and
Sure.
you know, again, I'm not no financial advisor, no expert, but I know the road of hard knocks because I've been
Yes.
there. I've been broke, man, and it's not fun being broke.
Right,
It's
right.
not
You
fun.
don't sign up. That's not
No,
something you sign up for.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. It's it's so
And it's interesting, John, that you said how you said that because I'm the type of person that I try to see and experience God in everything. And I've always been one to believe that life cannot knock you so far down except to your knees. And you're the demonstration of that. I mean, because a lot of people, when they come up against financial situations, they jump off roofs, they go to alcohol, go to drugs, go to illegal things to try to make them ends meet. But for a believer truly walking in striving to walk in the path of God, he can knock you life can't knock you no lower than your knees,
that's right.
because when you get to your knees, the only way you can look is up.
That's it.
But what you were able to do was to look in.
Had
and
to.
and and exactly. And a lot of times when we deal with financial situations, we don't look in. We
Right,
look
right.
out,
And yep.
you know and expect somebody else to pick up what we're supposed to have picked up. And what you got me going, John. What comes to mind is the story of how Jesus fed the 5,000. He said to the disciples, he was like, the disciples were like, send them away. We ain't got enough to feed them. He said, go look amongst them.
That's right.
And when we start to look amongst those who we are around, those who we've befriended, those who are doing what we wish we could do, you got to be in a position of being around people that are where you want to go, not where you've been.
Not where I've been. No.
you
Nope.
know
And sometimes fear. If I was, if you're fearful, you won't tell folks the problems you have. I mean, you can't tell
Mm,
everybody. You can't tell
right,
everybody the problems you have because some people are going to pile on, and some people are going
right.
to try to take advantage. But fear will keep you in the same position you're in because listen, I got to put on this fake suit and I got to go talk to. I mean, I got to be in the crowd like I'm not broke. I got to put this
Yeah,
fake suit on. But fear, false evidence appearing real, will
that's
keep
it.
you will keep you from not telling folks, hey, look, man, I need help. I need help. Can you not because every problem I had, you know who caused it? Me.
Mm,
Every problem I had, I caused it. Wasn't the government, wasn't the army, wasn't my wife, me. I
right,
caused every problem I had by not being a good steward what was given to me. I can't blame nobody for where I was.
right.
Nobody but me. And a lot of times, some people, I'm not talking about some people, talking about me. I would want to
Hmm.
play the blame game. Well, I'm supposed to have that job because I'm more experienced than this guy. So how did he get that job and I didn't?
Yeah.
How come he get promoted or how can he get that and I didn't get it? I think they're against me, right? So I put the negative thoughts in my own head. I did it along with the devil, put the thoughts in my own head to
Right,
tell me I wasn't worthy of something, right? I wasn't supposed to have those things. But he's a liar, and I know he is. I know it is. I'm not the greatest Christian there is, but I know what I know. I know what
right,
I know, right? Nobody can fool me on what I know, right? And I,
right.
and I know the struggles I've had, and I know where I came from. I remember. I'm sorry, Bishop, we're going off in these tangents,
You good? We're
but
good. This is all about finances. How we are good stewards. So you good?
and I remember growing up. When I grew up in South Carolina, we didn't have running water, believe it or not. And the one thing we had to do in order to get water was to give up water. I don't know if anybody know about pumping, but in the old days in the country, I ain't old. I'm just saying in the old days. I read it on YouTube. So in
Right,
the in the old days, in the days when I was growing up, in order for you to get water, you had to go out and you had to put water in a pump and you had to physically pump. and you got to
Mm.
pump and pump and pump, like work and work and work, or take action on something and
Yeah.
pour water into the pump in order for more water to come out. So you had
Mm.
to give up the thing you had to get more of the thing you
You
need.
need. Come on now.
Yeah, you had to give it up, man. And
Right.
so when I think of that analogy, why would I put my water out there if I need water? Well, in order to get more water, you got to give
Mm-hmm.
up something.
Yeah.
Closed fist, can't nothing get in a closed fist. Nothing. Can't nothing go out, and can't nothing come in. And
Right.
everything you got closed up in your fist gonna definitely disappear, and
Right.
nothing's coming in. So pumping that water. Every time I think about where I was, I think about me, mama telling me to go get water, and I'm pouring that water in the well and I'm pumping. Well, and then water start flowing abundantly, and it don't
Mm.
stop. It don't stop. You have to stop it from flowing. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if anybody ever done it, but if you had to go pump water, and if you pump, and you ain't got to pump all the time, water will never stop flowing. It will
Right.
never. So same thing with having a closed fist. You give up a little bit, it will come back.
Sure.
There's no doubt that it will. So, uh, man, uh, I just say I'm great. And so when I was broke, one thing at the church, Bishop had a financial seminar, financial peace seminar, right? And I said I have to go. Well, I said, well, you ain't got no money. Well, that's probably why I got to go.
Right.
that's that's the reason why I go, because I don't have any. Let me put the little bit I got toward this, because I need
Right.
to figure this out. And a lot of it was because I didn't do the right thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to the training, and one of the first things I learned. Well, I don't want to go back talking about. So there's some more stuff, man. There's so much I want to say. But when I went to that training class, the first thing came to mind. The first thing they taught was about budgeting, having
Mm.
a budget. And that's what I talk about, needs and wants, right?
Right.
And Bishop, I did that in 2006, and to this day, I still use that same system. And some people I know tell me, "You still budget?" I say, "Yeah, yeah." Although my salary was 150 plus $1,000, I didn't. That was I had to budget that. I had to budget that to make sure things go right. And to this day, I still use the same system. The saying,
Right.
if I want to go out and eat, well, this month I'm gonna put $300 away for restaurant, or $200 away, or whatever it is for that. And if once that run out, then it's peanut butter and jelly sandwich or eat at home.
Right. Right.
Simple, simple as that.
Yeah.
Call it a little bit of discipline. It has to be in place too. So that was the first. That was one of my first encounter of making sure I had a budget. So I had a credit card, had $10,000 on
Mm.
it. $10,000, but my salary wasn't nothing because I was retired. And one of the things they told us to do, take the credit card, wrap it in aluminum foil, and put it in the freezer so it won't get so hot. Now, it sounds like a crazy idea, right?
Wow.
Crazy. But guess what I did? I wrapped it in aluminum foil and I put it in the freezer. And I didn't use it. I did not use it. And it took me a few minutes. So if I made $20, $2 was going to be saved. 10% going to be saved. If I made $10, a dollar's going to be saved, because I know over time that will compound. But my discipline had to be in place in order for me to get out of that hole.
Right.
But it was not easy. It was not easy, because
Sure.
I seen people doing stuff that I wanted to do. I seen
Yes.
them, and I wanted to do it too.
Right.
But I know if I
So
did, I'd
what
be
so what we call that is delayed gratification,
yeah.
you know. And and so two questions I have. One is, so what did you do with the urge to get that $10,000 credit card? How did you battle that?
Want me to
Because I
get
knew
rid
it
of
had
it?
to be yeah, I knew it had to be a battle, or
Oh
was
yeah.
it a battle knowing that you had that card in the freezer?
Right. Well, it was a battle, but every time I would open that freezer, it would remind me that's cold. And the last thing I want to do is be put out in the cold by touching this doggone card. I got a wife and two kids, man, and you looking around, you ain't got no money, John. You can't be fooling around going in here talking about we gonna eat pizza tonight. No, 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 we're not eating pizza. We gonna cook. We got
Hmm.
four drumsticks and some greens and stuff. We gonna eat that.
Right.
They may eat pizza down the road, but we can't eat that. Not tonight. I love y'all, but we can't eat that.
Yeah.
No, because guess what? If I allow myself, because they're not going to look at my kids for things going south. and he's definitely not gonna look at my wife if things going south. The first thing gonna happen is, well, this man can't take care of his family, and I
Mm.
didn't want that on my shoulder. I didn't
Right.
want that on my shoulder. Not what people say, because I know I'm responsible for my family. So a little bit of, like you said, delayed gratification. That little bit of pain, right now, I don't even remember it. I don't even remember that little bit of pain.
Right.
Well, I call it a little bit, but at the time when you're going through it, it ain't
Right.
a little.
Right.
It ain't a little bit. So I just knew if I opened that freezer, and I used that card, I was going to be putting another nail in my coffin.
Mm.
I knew I was going to be doing it. So, and I even told my wife started to say, "You obsessed?" I said, "Yeah, I'm obsessed with not being in debt. I'm obsessed with
Mm.
not being able to provide. Yeah, I'm obsessed, and I'm gonna be obsessed." And after a while, she got on board with it. She understood, and she got on board with it. Like I say, to this day, I can go get a book out here. I but I got a spreadsheet and everything. I budget money every month. Every dime I budgeted to something. I even have a chart called blowing entertainment, so I can still have fun, but
Mm.
it's budgeted fun. That fun,
So
if I go do something, we're going to the movies, whatever's in blowing entertainment, we get to spend. If ain't no
gotcha.
money in there, that movie will have to wait till it come out on TV.
Come on now. Okay. Okay.
Because I ain't paying for somebody else's happiness, and I'm gonna be suffering.
Right.
And I can tell you what I know. What I know, there are folks that will not do the delayed gratification thing. I mean, people close to me still
Mm-hmm.
ask people. I'm talking about people real close to me. Talking
Yep.
about relatives, brothers and sisters. Why are you doing that? I said, because I don't want you. You have it. No, wait a minute. What do you mean I have enough? You count my money? You don't know what I have, right? I
Mm-hmm.
just know that I need to be better and a good steward of what I have, and I plan on keeping doing this, because guess what? My character can take me where my talent won't, right?
Come on.
My talent won't take me where my character will. So if I have good
Right.
character, part of my character is my finances.
Yes.
So guess what? Now that started opening doors for me. It did. It started opening doors because I started taking care of things. I mean, some things some folks couldn't see, but I saw. I'm taking care of things, and then I started feeling better
Mm-hmm.
when I started feeling better about not hiding in the shadows, being broke. I started
Right.
feeling better about being able to give. They say, well, you still got to give your tithe. Yeah, I'm gonna give it. I'm giving it. So guess what? Something else got to go backward. I have to put
Mm.
something else in the side. I cannot get that credit card. So, uh, let's just make sure we're doing the right things with the money we have. And like I said, when I put that in the freezer, I meant for it to stay until I got out of debt.
Okay.
Until I got out of debt. There's now I can pay for things cash, but I don't sometimes because it's. I'll talk about that later. But the at that point, being broke, I know there's people that's miserable for being broke and don't want to do the hard thing, like not going to the movies, like not buying this new jacket or not buying these new something new, or going to buy. I just got a raise, so let me go buy another. Let me get another car that's a little bit pretty, a little bit better, so I can keep up with the Joneses. But
Come on.
nobody's looking at you, man. No, who cares what
Right.
you who cares
Right.
what you got? I don't. I don't care what
Yeah.
you have. So
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's yeah. I've been there. So the way I see it, if you ever been down and out, and you don't want to be down and out, you don't want to be down and out, and nobody ain't got to tell you. You just got to do the hard things. You
Mm-hmm.
just have to do the hard things, and you can partner with folks, especially if you got a wife or some friends or a church, that you can partner with folks that can not asking for money, but they gave me the strength and the knowledge to just
Right.
say
Right.
the wisdom to just say, let's keep this train moving. Look at this week, look what you done this month. Oh, you $100 less in debt. Oh wow. Okay, what can I do with this? I can put this on something else. Not spend it, but oh, now you're $300 less in debt. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
now you're not tied to Caesar or somebody else that can control your life or control your family life. You
Right.
your own self. It
Right.
was eye opening to me to go through those challenges since 2006. 2006 is when I started. Stop pretending to be broke. Stop pretending to have something. When I stopped,
Hmm.
yeah, I stopped
Okay.
pretending. Yeah, I sure
Yeah.
did.
And let me dig a little deeper. You said 2006 was when you came to the realization, I don't want to be in this position
Absolutely,
financially.
absolutely.
Okay. And not only because you had responsibilities, but it was a personal thing. You
Yeah,
know,
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about how you got to that personal realization. Because, and the reason I ask, because a lot of people say, I gotta do this for my family. I gotta do this for my kids. I want my kids to have a better life. So the sacrifice is not true financial literacy and awareness, but it's I didn't have, but I want my kids to have everything. And so we end up not teaching them the discipline that we have to give them everything. And they end up feeling entitled
Yep.
to everything from that position. So how did you make, you got two boys, you got a wife, you just came out the army, you didn't come out on a dishonorable discharge, you were honorably discharged,
Right. Right.
walked out on your own terms, but then you got this,
Right.
life hits you in the face, say, okay, now John, what you gonna do? So how did you not move from I didn't have, but I want my family to have, but you went to I didn't have, and I want to make sure I am clear so that I lead well.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Bishop? One of the things that happened. One of the things that happened, and this is this. I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but this happened. So
Mm,
during that time frame from 2006 forward, no, my brother had already, my brother passed. My grandmother, my wife's grandmother passed away, and I was
okay.
still struggling, right? Because I didn't have all my ducks in a row to do the right thing. I was still
Right.
struggling, and my wife's grandmother passed away, and it cost me $400 to go home. But guess
Mm,
what? I didn't have $400.
okay.
I didn't have $400 saved up. My son, my oldest boy, was working at a grocery store called Albertson in Texas. I don't know if y'all know that, but he was working at Albertson. And I had to go to him and use his savings account money. He was only like 17, 16, 17, something like that, maybe younger. And I got his money to go to my take my wife and family because I drove and I knew it was going to cost me about $400 to drive to Illinois. And when I got back, I said, "This is more than personal, man. You can't put your kids out like this, man. This is more than personal. You need to do something." And so the first
Yeah.
thing I did when I got back from that trip or the trip prior, I went down because everybody think it takes a lot to save money or invest, and it doesn't. It just
Mhm.
takes a decision. All it takes is a decision to say,
Yeah.
I want to see how because if everybody else, again, if they can do it for one, they can do it for, if everybody else is doing something and they seem to be prospering or they seem to be doing the right thing, what can I do?
Mhm.
And this, I don't remember who told me, but one of the persons from the church or somebody told me about starting a mutual fund. Now, yeah, somebody told me about starting a mutual fund. I'm like, first of all, I don't know what that is. So I don't. Let me turn this phone off. Sorry about that. First of all, I don't know what that is. A mutual
Right.
fund. What is that? I don't know. So I had to learn. I had to learn what a mutual fund was. And then I said, they told me, well, go down and talk to. I forgot the lady's name, the company. And when I got to them, excuse me a second. Let me make sure this don't come back on. Uh,
Right.
when I got down to them, I'm thinking I got to bring a bucket of money, right? I'm thinking I got to bring a bucket of money, which I'm broke. But first of all, I'm embarrassed to go talk to them because I ain't got nothing. But they said go talk. So when I got there, me and the young lady sat down talking about what my goals are and everything, and I'm kicked back like I'm like like I got it made, like I got it going on, like I'm about to do something. And she was telling me, then she says, "Well, Mr. Dunham, you can start this venture with $25.
Wow.
$25." But
Mhm.
I was not educated enough throughout the other time to say I could have been putting $25 away from the time I started my Army career while I was getting paid. You know where I would be around today? Although I'm pretty good, you know where I would be if I'd have been putting them $25
Right.
away for 20 years? Wow.
Right.
And then so I said, $25. That's it? She goes, yeah. And you know what, Mr. Dunham, we'll take it straight out of your account, out of your bank, out of your check, your retirement check, and that way you'll never miss it because you never
Mhm.
had it. So if it's
Mhm.
not there, you can't miss it. But
Right.
again, and so again, the thing was how discipline plays a big portion of it because if you're not
Yeah.
disciplined enough, you go get that $25. After
Right.
the first sign of danger or first sign of discomfort, you go get that $25. And
Right.
then now you're back at the same place you started from. But
Yep.
if you can make it past 90 days of savings, 90 days of putting something away and not touch it. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about I'm not talking about, I'm talking about with in an investment, because most places will let you invest at that or less. Right?
Yeah.
They'll let you invest with that amount of money or less. And then, if you're earning some interest, 90 days, it may not look like enough, but if somebody give me a penny a day for 100 days, how much money will I have?
Mm.
Right? So it's going to compound. On day one,
Right.
I have a penny. The day two, I have two. Day three, I'll have four.
Four.
Right? So I
Mm-hmm.
have more. I have more than what I thought about. So it's compounding. So when I put that money, that $25 in here, man, it was many times I was going to go say, I got to go get that money because I got to pay for this. And I said,
Right.
no, leave that there. Leave that there. It will be all right. You'll find another means. There's another means for you to go get paid. So you have to
Right.
figure something else out. And I guarantee you, all the people I know, they got ingenuity. Ingenuity
Mm-hmm.
is a thing, man. It is a
Yeah.
thing. You don't have to beg. You can use your mind to figure out
Right.
just about anything you want to
Right.
do, right?
Right.
And be in the right place. And so that's what I did. I said, I'm not touching that money. I'm not touching it. I'm gonna leave that $25 right there where it's at and let it start to grow. But the bumps in the road, because there's gonna be bumps, but you got to have some non-negotiables. And one of those non-negotiable is certain things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to abandon my family. I'm not going to touch this $25, and I'm not going to change the things I'm doing to make sure to make sure that we stay on track. I'm not going to abandon the church. I'm not going to do it. These are non-negotiables. So I have to change my habits. I have to change my habits. So again, I can't eat pizza every Friday night. Sorry. Sorry, we got so it ain't but
Right.
$22, but yeah, but $22 every Friday night is about $100, right? That's $100 a
Right.
month. You could do
Right.
something else. So that was my philosophy in
Yeah.
changing how I make things work. That's what it was.
Okay.
So
Okay. Now, did you get to a point where you took? Because one of the things I try to tell people is that the money that you would have spent, invest. So if you give up a pizza night, that $22 you would have spent, put it someplace. Is
put it
that, is
someplace.
that part of the discipline as well?
That's absolutely part of the discipline, because when I was talking about the money I had in the the $10,000 tax on that credit card, right?
Hmm.
When I would whatever I would sacrifice, whatever I would sacrifice not to do, because I don't need a new suit every week, right?
Right.
I don't need, so if I get paid $1,000 or $2,000 a month or whatever it was back then from my retirement, I know where that money went, but I would always make sure there was no fluff in anything. Now, I can't have no fluff because I got $10,000 I got to pay off, right?
Right.
So if I save, if I earn additional monies, I would take that additional money and put it toward the bill, so the bill will go away. So the debt would go away. So the money is just not extra money for me to do something with. No,
Mm.
no. I have to make this money grow, or I have to pay off something. And still today, I I don't have debts, man. I have assets. I try not to have debts, because
Mm-hmm.
I know if I have a debt, I have to pay it. So if I
Okay.
do have anything extra, right, and there's some extra, I start putting it into different accounts, right? I put it
Mm.
into investment accounts, right? I
Okay.
put it into an investment account, money markets, or things like that. And again, it
Right.
don't take it don't take a lot.
Right.
Everybody thinks it takes a lot of money, but if you save $10 out of every 100, man, and give it 90 days, you look at, and my boys learn this. They go, when I start showing them what I was doing, and this was when they were younger, and how I'm saving my money now, they would look and they would do it too for a while. But then I don't know, sometimes their discipline was, they had that young discipline that
Right.
they want to go do their own thing. I'm like, hey, fine, but don't come to me. I can't help you, although I can. Matter of fact, let me tell you what I did.
Hmm.
Let me tell you when they got jobs, you know what I made them do? I made them pay me rent. Absolutely. I made them pay me rent. Now, somebody would say, you make your children pay rent? Yeah. Well, they can't live for free, right? They're 17, 16, 17, 15, 15, 16, 17, 18, not 18, 15, 16, and 17, and they living here and eating, and then they go get a job and they make $600 a week. You think I'm gonna let them go spend that 600? No. No, 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 no. No, they're part of this problem I'm trying to solve. They're part of this problem I'm trying
Hey.
to solve, right? So I made them pay me $200 a month. But then let me tell you what, when they got to an age, I did this, Bishop, and they about fell out. I kept the money in an envelope.
Come on, I knew that's where you were going.
Yeah, I kept
Yeah.
every dollar in an envelope. Now check out what happened. My oldest boy would always say, "Hey, Dad, I need to get." I said, "Man, listen, you didn't you get paid? You get a check? You got paid?" He said, "Dad, well, can you can you loan me some money?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I would go to his envelope, not
Mm-hmm.
I would go to his
Mm-hmm.
envelope and give him money, right?
Yep.
Right. And so when I was my youngest boy would never he would if he would come he would hardly ever come to me with money. But so at the point when I gave him the money, my youngest son had an envelope like this. My oldest son had an envelope like this. And they go, "Well, why did he get more?" I said, "Because he saved more.
Uh-huh.
He didn't waste his stuff. He saved more. That's why your
Right.
envelope is smaller than his."
Right.
Right. But they never knew I was saving the money. Their mom knew. But every time $200. Right. It just to instill some discipline in them that you don't live in life for free because nobody put that in me. That's how I ended
Right.
up with that $10,000 debt. Right.
Yeah.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, one of our viewers said, Lady Virgo, God bless you. She said, "I wish I could make mine help pay the rent. They spend all their money on themselves and their phone bills."
Well, guess what? You can make them pay the rent. Can make help them pay the rent without. That's what I did. I just told them you have to help me. You need to pay the rent. You have to help me here. $200 a month. Right? Give me $200 a month. I'm taking care of all the bills here, and and especially if they're men, especially if they're men. I don't want to get ugly, but I can tell you now, if they wouldn't have, I'd tell you, Mom, hey, we got to tell them 18, they got to go, because I'm
Hmm.
not going to take care of grown people, and I
Right.
might be sounding a little mean now. I'm sorry,
Oh
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
that's it.
Yeah, yeah. I ain't taking care of grown people because if you making $600 and then you still expect me to feed you and put shelter on you, and you spend yours
Mm,
on you, that
right.
dog ain't gonna hunt. That dog ain't gonna hunt. Near day to week,
Exactly.
that dog ain't gonna
Exactly.
hunt. So you
Yeah.
got to be a little stern, a little firm, and I'm pretty sure there's some male figures that are pretty pretty well, you know, pretty good at talking to kids. Have the male figures talk to them. Who's just ringing my doggone doorbell at this time? Anyway, I'm letting it go. They'll be all right. They'll just stay
Yeah.
out there.
Let me pause right here while you got that pause. TikTok, I'm going to lose you because I didn't know I was going to have to use my phone. So I got 1% left. So if you want to hear the rest of the story, come on over to our YouTube channel, Clear Faith Christian Ministries, and you will hear the conclusion of my conversation with John Dunham. So I'm gonna turn my phone off because I don't want you to get mad. But join us tonight at 8:30. We'll be in our Bible study, a candid conversation with Pastor D here on TikTok, 8:30 tonight Central Time. That's 9:30 East Coast and 7:30 West Coast. And we're still studying from the book Living Jesus by Randy Harris. So I'm going to sign off. God bless you. We'll see you tonight. All right. Hold on. Here we go. All this technology, John. I try
Yep,
to be up
that's
with
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Lady Virgo said they don't help mama out with anything except cook the meals and housework. Unfortunately, all of mine are in their 20s.
Woo. Yeah, and so again, I can't dictate how folks do their business, but I have an older brother. He's in his 80s right now, 70s, late 70s. But he was a stern guy then, and he's still a stern guy now. So
Right.
not so somebody they got to look up to, somebody they got to respect, right? And so I would tell if you ask me, I would say who is the male figure that she respects and that
Mm-hmm.
she can say, "Hey, I need you to have a conversation with these two young men." Because it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to get better. I can tell you that it's not going to get better because at some point they're going to have to be on their own.
Right.
And if they don't go, I was just saying, I'm not going to say that saying, but they have to get some toughness from somebody. That listen, being being not being in here for a month, you will understand. Listen, you have to do this on your own. Then you go with your little check and find it on your own. Because what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and see, then you can clean up and cook for yourself and pay your own rent and pay your own light bill. And will that is that do you have enough for that? No. So you have to respect me enough. You have to respect me enough to help me, right? You have
Right.
to help me get this done.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know who the male figures are, right? But I would ask tell Lady Virgo, even if it's somebody she's close to that can just talk to the fellow and say, why aren't you helping your mother? I do that with my sister in law now. I put them guys on notice. I said I'm coming to Illinois next week. I'm coming to
Yeah.
Illinois next month, and if you're not right, we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna have a
Yes.
conversation. I'm not gonna beat you up. I'm not gonna try to bully you or nothing. But I'm
Right.
gonna tell you the whole honest truth about how
Right.
sorry you are if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Right?
Right.
And you're not gonna like what I'm gonna have to say. I'm not gonna disrespect you, but you're
Hmm.
not gonna lay around and let somebody that then all their lives take care of you, and now you're old enough, you got brand new hands, brand new feet, and you still want somebody to take care of you,
Right.
that's preposterous. Because what's going to end up happening is when that person is not around anymore, now you don't know how to do anything.
Yes,
You don't
sir.
you don't understand the struggles you have to go through to live. So I
Right.
would say reach out to that male figure or
Right.
even another female figure, whoever it is, but somebody need to have that tough conversation and
Right.
not play friend, not play yeah, I'm not your friend. I'm here to tell you about how life is going to be some years down the road if you don't get your act together. Because I
Yeah.
guarantee if they're not helping her with the finances, they're spending it all. They're spending
Hmm.
it all. I guarantee they're spending it all because they have nowhere to put it. So they
Hmm.
think it's a free for all. And no disrespect to her, I really am not.
No.
I don't want to say no disrespect, but they're spending it all because they got the good life. But the good life is going
Hmm.
to go away sooner or later.
Right.
So I told
Right.
my son is a W-2 in the army right now. He's a warrant officer in the army, and I told him 3 days ago. I said, listen, here's some things you have to make sure that is done. I said you may think you have it done, but one is you need to make sure you have the proper insurance for your wife and your children, not for you, for your wife and your kids, right? Your kids. I said because the army's going to give you a thing. I know because I've been there, but it may
Right.
not be enough. It may not
Right.
be enough to take them through life. Not I'm
Yep.
not talking about the moment. So
Yep.
and then if you get a 3% raise, put 1% away in savings. You'll never miss it. Put it away in
Hmm.
investment. He said, Dad, I'm doing some of that. I said, some of that. Okay, we'll talk later. Yeah, we'll talk later. So that has to. It wasn't instilled in me until after I hit the road of hard knocks, man. I had no clue what to do until I
Yeah.
did it. Until
Yep.
the rocks started hitting me against the head and say, "Hey, you got to make this work. You don't have an
Right.
option." And the folks that are not supporting the lady you just mentioned, it's
Mm.
bad. They need to know. They need to see the picture. They need to just see it from
Right.
somebody else's perspective and not their perspective. And listen, I got a check. I get to go out and get me new clothes. I get to go out Friday night. Then I get to come home and burden the same person that's been taking care of me forever. And you
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And look, I mean, I think both of our gray hairs tell us that we came from the same school. Um, because one of the things that she said she's not offended by anything you're speaking. I appreciate a good wake up talk. So you good. But what I was going to say, Lady Virgo, because she had mentioned that all the male figures in her life live in other states. From her, unfortunately, her dad, uncles, etc. And what I was going to say to that is the same way you looking at us on YouTube, you can do on a phone, you can do on a Zoom call. They don't have to be physically present. They got to hear the words.
yes, the
And I
words.
and
Yeah,
so that phone call, not necessarily if they take a trip, you take a trip, that's great. But that phone call, that Zoom call, that Google Meets call, I mean, there's ways to do face to face without being in the same place.
right, right.
And so use technology to get the message across. And if all else fails, unless they at work right now, tell them to tune in next week. We're gonna give them some more knowledge because God shifted me, just to kind of tell you where I'm at, John, and our listening audience. God shifted me in this conversation that I started having to really have hard conversations about money because we as black folks don't save. We as black folks don't, we love to spend. We see the statistics that if we were our own people, we'd have the third largest
Econ.
GNP,
Yep.
in the world. But yet we don't have nothing to show for it. We don't have no colleges. Colleges were built by other people. Let's just be real. Black folks went to them, but other folks along with them built those schools. We don't
Right.
have nothing that we in this dispensation can say we did it.
Right. Right.
But everybody's still trying to get it. And I always
Right.
say that's the trick of the enemy, because the enemy has made it even easier for us through crypto and Bitcoin and all this kind of stuff. But those to me are like flash pans. I mean, at some point they're going to bust, and it's going to go back to the brass tacks of what I call the envelope system. You know, put a name on the envelope and put a couple of dollars in that envelope, and you don't touch that envelope until you meet the need for which the name was on the envelope. You know,
Absolutely.
and it's a proven fact. I had my oh, okay. She said, Bishop Miller, you're absolutely right. I didn't even think of the Zoom, Meet, FaceTime conversations they could have with the elders in my life.
Yeah.
That's why
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
why financial matters.
That's right. That's right. And they can talk to them, man. Then that's good.
Yeah, and it's a dual effect. It's a
Yes.
dual effect because we're living in a time where we're not making men.
No.
We were made. Our elders, they made us who we are, either through conversation or through perspiration. We were made into who we are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it created a foundation. It created a work ethic that stands the test of time. But unfortunately, and it's no blame, it's just the way it is. A lot of our young men, in particular, are growing up in female-led households, and they're not catching the male
Yeah.
struggle, for lack of a
Right.
better
Right.
word.
Right. Right. Right.
And then you add on to that the entitlement piece. So for my boys, I'm in a blended family, so I have two sons from my marriage currently, and then I have two sons biologically. And with my biological sons, I we me and their mother divorced when they were very young, but we didn't divorce them as parents.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
when we didn't have, I had conversation with my boys. Hey, look, we ain't gonna be able to get that today. We'll be able to get it next time. And they be like, oh, okay, Dad, because we were doing the other stuff.
Right.
We were
Right.
putting clothes on their back, shoes on their, so the extra stuff we had to talk about. Well, fast forward to my sons now being 33 and 28.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
with you
baby.
with the 40-year-old. He's 7 years away. My 33-year-old still stays with his mom because he has some health challenges.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, but he stays with his mom and he's got a job. And I said to him, all right, what are you doing to help your mom with the rent and with the
Right.
groceries until
Yeah.
you get to a position where you're going to move out? Also, what are you saving?
Absolutely.
And he was like, Dad, I got this in my savings account. I got this. I make this much, on my jobs. I make this much. I put this much aside. My mom asked me for this for groceries. I give her a list for rent. I'm like, okay, cool.
That's good.
Now understand this. Miller men don't stay with their mamas till they die.
So you got to go. You got to go.
And that's all I said. He's like, no, Dad, I know. I'm looking at some other options. I'm thinking
Yes.
about moving here and maybe move. I'm like, okay. Because one of the things my dad taught me, now let me say this about my 28-year-old. Now, my 28-year-old is very meticulous with his money, but I had to teach him, okay, now you're making money. Now he lives with a bunch of guys because he's a musician. So he,
Right.
he
Right.
lives with a bunch of guys and he's gigging. But there was a climb that he had to make before he got to the plateau. And
Right.
so in that climb, we helped him. Helped him with his rent and helped him with this. But at the same time, he
I
was
get you.
getting the gigs. He was, had another job until if he wasn't gigging, performing, he had another job. But
Right.
that's
Right.
because he saw me do that. He
Yep.
saw me always working, and so that if I didn't have it, I didn't have it.
Yep.
Didn't mean I
Exactly.
couldn't get it, but I couldn't have it right there. So that delayed gratification started very young,
Yep.
and I got a 6'6", 340-pound son.
Yeah,
Okay.
they ain't no little man. They ain't no little man.
No, not at all. And so he was 6 feet in junior high school,
Ooh.
had a size 12, 13 shoe, and liked to
Wow.
play basketball.
Yeah. So tear
So,
them up quick.
his
Tear them up quick.
right.
Yeah.
His thing was, Air Jordans or Nike Airs or whatever.
Nike Airs.
And so
Yeah.
he was like, Dad, I need to get me a new pair of shoes. I said, well, you got big feet, right? And he was like, yeah. He's like, oh, we can't go just to Foot Locker and just pick you up some shoes. He's like, no, Dad, I went online and I found a wholesale tennis shoe
Right.
place
Okay. Wow.
and
Good.
I can order my shoes at wholesale prices. I
Oh,
didn't
good.
teach him that. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't tell him that. He
Right.
learned that because I told him the value of money,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know. And so to your point, it's teaching them when they're in that teachable moment.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely. Before the struggle hits, because the struggle is going to come. I don't care who you are, it's coming. There's gonna be some bumps in the road, man. It's gonna be some bumps in the road. And if you don't understand how to deal with your money, you are gonna go left or go right. You're not going to stay on the straight path. You're not going to do it because the pressure is going to be too. I'm not saying that with everybody, but there's going to be a
Right,
lot of pressure. And if you
right.
don't understand the value of what you have, right? Because first of all, you ain't got but one body, right? So somebody said they don't get three jobs. Well, you ain't got but one body. When you going to sleep? When you going to rest? When you going to eat? So getting the extra job is not the in my mind
Yeah,
is not the thing because 2 and 3 jobs is not the thing. How can I use my ingenuity? Warren Buffett said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will always work. I'll say that again. If you can't find a way to make money while you sleep, you always work. And one of those ways, one of them, because there's more, but one of them is investments. Because that money is working, right? I put you put if you have $20 and you put it in your drawer in your bank, you telling that money you can sit around the water cooler and don't do nothing. But if you put that $20 to an investment, you putting it to work. So now when you go at that $20, you better come back with two of your friends. So I want $22, right? Come back with two of
right,
your friends, right? And
right.
so making money while you sleep is a thing, man. And I know some people will say, I don't like that. I think you do. No, it's proven fact. Making money while you sleep is a thing. Why you think the stock market stay open all night long? It never closes.
Exactly.
Never
Exactly.
closes. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
making money, right? So anyway,
Exactly.
but
Okay. Well, sir, we done come up on time. I appreciate your time. Yes, 5:15.
what? No. Wow. Wow.
It go.
Okay.
I told you it would go when we just talk. It goes. But the last thing that Lady Virgo said was my family tell me I'm not doing my children any favors by still coddling them as adults because they won't be able to navigate in the real world on their own. So all we're doing today is reinforcing what you already know.
Wow.
Now, next week, um, John, if you are available, remember we're doing the next 3 Wednesdays this month. I wanted to get into the how tos.
Okay. No
How
problem.
do how do you invest? What do you look for? All those type of things. And because I think this is really helpful. I'm gonna tell you, you're my best you're my best guest because we got 4 people watching. Now I don't get caught in numbers, but it's the middle of the day. And if 4 people are taking time out to watch and hear what we got to say, we're hitting something. We're making impact. And so I
Good. Good.
appreciate the 4. Lady Virgo's the only one talking, but the other 3 of you I appreciate too, because I know that this is something that needs to be done. Uh,
Absolutely.
because again, like I said, God, what I did before, that's where I was going. What I did before is I would allow people that had service or financial planners like the first time I had a guy that could help you through the credit card system. It's called Starfish, and what it is it's a gift card system whereby when you go in and want to make a purchase at all the major stores, you just simply go to the app, put the price of the app, I mean, put the price of the purchase on the app, and it cuts you a gift card to that amount, but you're cutting out the fees and
Right.
everything to the credit card company. So you get a 5% kickback on every purchase.
Mm.
And but it's a discipline because we just used to going in our wallet, throwing that
Yeah.
debit card
Yeah.
and be done. And so I brought him on because I wanted him to teach people how to shift their thinking because that's what
Thank
you're
you.
asking them to do. And then the last guy I had on, um, we were talking about trust, how to set up trust, and how to divert your money into trusts that are tax free. You get tax write offs and all of that. Because again, we make money, but we don't know how to make money.
And that's the
You
point.
know,
That's
and
the point.
so so bringing you on is kind of putting it all together on the discipline of
Yeah.
being financially literate. Because everybody talking about, get a financial planner, go do this. But if you don't have the
It
discipline,
don't matter who you get. It don't
all
matter
you're
who
doing
you.
is paying money and putting that money into a bag that's got holes in it, as the Bible tells us.
Absolutely.
When we put it in fault in worthless things, thinking we're doing something worthwhile. So
Right.
I appreciate the knowledge and the honesty that you're bringing to this.
Thank you.
But like I said, so next week I want to get into to the
How to.
the next layer, the how tos.
I
Um,
love it.
and then the last one, or the next one, I'll say after that. So I'm getting the people a chance. We'll talk about what type of, first is the how to invest, then what to invest in.
Right.
What's
Right.
working, and that may be an opportunity to kind of talk about the things you've invested in, what forex looks like, because everybody hears forex. Somebody told that to me today. I was like, forex, is that an algebra problem? I was like,
Hey,
what are you
I can
saying?
tell you. I can tell you. Let me just say this about it because I've only been in forex. I started learning about 3 weeks ago. Right, 3 weeks
Okay.
ago. 3 weeks ago, and I am amazed how there's in 30 40 minutes 40 minutes I had 3 days in a row because we have a thing called coffee and charts. One of the I can tell you the world he does things around the world. He's part of my company now, and what he does, he teaches stuff, and as he's teaching, he's doing live stuff to folks. 2 days in a row, 2 days in a row. One lady made $400 yesterday, day before yesterday, and yet yesterday she made $800 in 45 minutes. 45
Wow.
minutes. And this brother, 3 weeks ago, this brother, he says, gold will hit $4,000. And he started showing us stuff. He said, gold will hit $4,000. Gold was only at 3,000 and some change. He said, here's my bet. Here's not my bet. Here's my investment. Gold's going to hit $4,000. And then all week long doing stuff. Today, gold hit $4,000 today.
Mm.
And I invest. I didn't know he would not allow me to do it because I'm not learned enough. I said, okay,
Right.
I'm not learned enough, so I couldn't do it. So once
Right.
I get learned enough, today it hit $4,000 that he predicted 3 weeks ago.
Weeks ago. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. And that's how it's moving.
Yeah.
I mean, let me say it real quick. I don't like Trump. I absolutely don't like Trump. Never liked Trump. Didn't have a plan to like Trump. And when I die, I ain't going down his alley. If he makes it to heaven, I ain't going to see him. But what he's doing is making the market go crazy. And that's when you got to get in, when the water is troubled, like they said in the Bible. When the water is troubled, that's when you want to get in there and get your blessing. And I'm learning because I'm just like, stock market, but every day it's been going up.
And you
It's
know
been
what? One thing they're not talking about in the financial world, the shutdown. There is nothing talked about. You see it on the news, but in the financial world, if you go look at these, nobody's talking about the shutdown. Normally in a shutdown, the market goes south.
mm-hmm.
This shutdown, the market is going north. Gold hit $4,000 a day, and the
Wow.
shutdown. Anyway, I don't want to start no more. I'm gonna stop, man. I'm gonna stop.
Right, right. But hey, man, I appreciate you, and Lady Virgo also said I truly appreciate this great conversation. Gentlemen, may God bless you. Thank you both so much. Lady Virgo, hope to see you tonight. at the Bible study. We will be on to my YouTube family. If you didn't hear me say to my TikTok family, that we will be on. We're back. We're teaching. I took a 2 week vacation, and so we just came back, and we'll be back on tonight at 8:30 Central Time. Lady Virgo is on the East Coast, so it'll be 9:30 your time. But the Bible study is actually shorter, and it's more what to do and how to do. So you definitely want to come and join and hear what we got to say tonight at 8:30 Central Time on YouTube and on TikTok Live. So thank you, John. I appreciate you all the way from the great state of Alabama,
I,
talking to the greater state of Texas, so they say. Um, I'm from Wisconsin, and we always gonna be good. So until next time, thank you so much, sir. And we'll be back again tomorrow. I mean, next week, Wednesday. Why? Because financials matter. Peace.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I'm out.
All
I can
right.
leave. There, somewhere is an exit button here. Where is